it's also important to remember, I remember Pastor saying, you don't drift upstream, right? If you just let life happen to you, we live in a broken world, right? And the broken world's going to break you unless you're deliberate about taking time to be reminded of who I am, how am I grounded to be able to do the work so that you can go upstream, right? And the Gospels talk about it, it's like the gate is narrow, right? Because of that. We live in a day and age, and that will continue to be so, more noisy than ever. So being able to be someone who can take pause, who can be slow and deliberate, who understands why we do what we do, it's really going to stand out more and more in the age that is to come.
All right, cool. Welcome, everyone, to another podcast episode called Rooted and Rising in Partnership with the Diaspora Network. And we are excited to be doing another episode. Today, we're going to be doing it on vocation and calling. But first and foremost, my co-host.
Of course. It's Barn and Deborah here, and it's always a pleasure to be here and always co-hosting it with you. So, yeah, today we have a great one, 1,000%, 1,000%.
So I met this guy through the grapevines. Jonathan and Fatima have been talking about him, and Jonathan was the one who said, "You got to meet him.
Oh yeah,
have coffee with him, and get him on a podcast episode." And so.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of getting coffee with him. We met a couple months ago. I think, was it last year or sometime earlier this year?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
But he is. I mean, you guys are gonna meet him in a little bit. But he's such a powerhouse.
Yes. Without further ado, Wesley Fang.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. Yeah,
of course.
Oh man, it's good to be here.
Yeah,
it's great chatting with you guys.
Come on, we heard great things, and obviously with our coffee time together.
Yeah.
Getting to know you and talk with you has been such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a blessing on my end. Just getting to know both of you, and then even just being able to be in this room together, to be able to chop it up, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's awesome. So today we are going to be talking about vocation and calling. And I feel, personally, it's one of those topics that is like kind of not taboo, but it's confusing. Like when you hear the word vocation or calling, so many people have different definitions of it. So many different ideas revolve around those two words.
Sure.
And I kind of want to hear your personal story on how you discovered your calling and vocation. And maybe we could get into like the definition of vocation and calling.
Well, I mean, I feel like I also wrestled with it for a really long time and not knowing. And I think we grew up with a bunch of these platitudes of make your work have meaning, right? And all of a sudden your vocation has to be your calling, or your calling has to be your vocation. I mean, oftentimes they might be somewhat different. And so people trying to figure out, okay, if they're different, is that okay? Like, how am I supposed to do this thing called life? And so, I myself have just kind of wrestled with it too. Kind of my backstory, who I am. I'm the son of Taiwanese immigrants. My parents came to the States in kind of the mid 80s for college, graduated, got married, moved here to Austin, Texas, which is where I was born. So I'm a native Austinite. And growing up the son of immigrant parents, you kind of have a lot of those feelings and pressures, which I'm sure both of you also understand. And so, they grew up or started a life here in Austin, and we were just kind of lower middle income. And right. So for me, I thought that my calling was to be able to make it financially, to be able to provide for my family, to be able to take care of my parents. And then, if I ever got married or had kids, then it was just like, okay, if we had money, then all of the problems could be alleviated. And so much of the conflict that I remember hearing growing up between my parents was because of financial reasons. And so, I had this goal of making six figures, And so I graduated with a degree in finance from the University of Texas, was doing venture capital, That was, there you go. Yeah, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em horns.
First, I started off in venture capital as my first internship, and then was there for a couple of years, did a complete 180, and just God had a different role for me and switched over into the world of publishing. And so doing book marketing for a lot of New York Times, Wall Street Journal bestsellers. Yeah. Very different from the VC world.
Right.
And then, long story short, that marketing agency got bought out by the publishing imprint at Forbes. And so Forbes had just launched a program called Forbes Books, where they're working with entrepreneurs and CEOs to help them ghostwrite their books. And these are individuals that had built 8, 9, sometimes 10-figure businesses. And I was 24, 25 at the time, sitting across the table from them, helping them come up with a book concept and then build out a go-to-market strategy.
Wow.
And so, this lifelong goal that I had of like making 6 figures, God allowed me to have at age 25.
Wow.
Right. And so I was young at the time and just didn't know how to handle it. When you set your lifelong goal and it's built on something that's relatively shallow. God decided to give it to me at 25 and it just completely crippled me. Right? It's like, you hear the stories of the Olympians that they spend their entire life training and then they get that gold medal and it's the pinnacle of their success. And then, what do you do now?
Right.
What is my calling if I've already fulfilled this calling that I thought that I had? And so that just sent me into a world of, rediscovering who does God say that I am? Who am I? What is my contribution to the world in this brief time that I have here on earth? And so that's been the question of how do I be able to wrestle calling and vocation? And that's kind of led into the work that I'm doing now with Kingdom Capital Network. So I'll stop there and I can fill in any gaps.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to pick up from what you said. I'm curious, earlier you said that it started with this idea of God for you, where you wanted to know what he said about your life and who you are in him. And my question to you is, I think after coming to that conclusion or coming to that thought or idea, did you find your vocation pretty easily? Or your calling?
Yeah.
Was it just kind of like, oh, there it is, like starts with God and I have my calling and vocation? Or was it a journey for you?
Yeah.
And what did that
It's
look like?
It's still a journey, man. I kind of wish that there was that burning bush moment.
Right.
I think throughout my entire quote unquote career, it's been God steering me back. Right. And so my challenge has always been to go out and do things, and then some of them may or may not be wise, but God continuing to steer and lead me in the right direction. And so it's just been one of those things where I think I have an idea, but even in where we are now with KCN, Kingdom Capital Network, as a startup organization and leaving the for-profit for the nonprofit space, and financially it's very different. We just follow the next breadcrumb. We've got a young family, a little 2-year-old girl. And so, this space has just been continuing to follow whatever God has next for us. And we can't see beyond the next year, let alone the next 5 or 10. But it's a sweet space to be. Whereas, coming out of college, I thought I had my whole life planned out and was able to exercise a few of those things, accomplish a few of these personal goals. And then once you accomplish them, you're like, well, I really
what now?
Built my foundation on the wrong thing.
Right. Do you have a question?
Yeah. How was I guess restructuring your foundation? From that very young, I mean, like as a 25-year-old and you making 6 figures, I mean, like the world's on top. But I think it does take a very I don't want to say special individual of that recognition with, okay, I'm here, I have these things. Now knowing, okay, I guess like finding faith in God and trusting God. But how was that restructuring your foundation?
Great
like,
question.
what was that?
Good.
How was that?
I don't think there's an easy way to do it. Even when you hear friends that are deconstructing their faith and rebuilding it back, it's about this breaking down of the identity, burning down the forest to see what remains. And what remains, hopefully, is the strongest thing that you can continue to build off of, right? And so, outside looking in, again, 25, 26, had achieved what my life goal was at that time. And, I had received a promotion. My salary had essentially tripled or quadrupled in 1 year. And everyone would have been like, man, you've achieved it. And man, I was just in a tailspin because I had no idea what to do. It's, the question is, okay, if I've accomplished 6 figures, then what's next? Is it 7? Yeah, exactly.
8.
And then at what point do you begin to realize, like, okay, I'm chasing vain pursuits? And so it was a lot of taking time to be able to slow down and then to be able to reevaluate, okay, if my necessities are taken care of, what are the things that I really enjoy and appreciate?
Very good.
And what is the legacy that I potentially want to leave behind? Like, how have my parents treated me, and what are the things that I remember about my parents? It's like they were hard workers. I remember having this dream, just kind of a couple months into everything changing and being like, what I love most about my parents is that we always just did Sunday breakfast together. Right? It was the memory of waking up, and then my dad would be cooking, congee, right? So it was a rice porridge, and our family just being able to gather at the dinner table. It's like, I don't need 6, 7, whatever the amount, however many figures to be able to do that. And so the best things in life are probably the simplest things.
Wow,
so what does God call us to do? And so, even now, it's we have so much that we aspire to as human beings, but God has called us to be, right? God has called us to be His beloved. He's called us to be able to partake in as co-creators in His creation. He's called us to the Great Commission to be able to go out to make disciples. And then oftentimes what we do, the externalities come out of that, right? Whether it's continuing in VC or finance or even being a stay-at-home mom and caring, but no, at its core, who we are is beloved, right? And so when you can remember that and kind of burning everything down, the externals, the whats don't really matter as much as who we are.
Wow, that's so good.
Wow.
I love that. I think I'm starting to realize that more as I grow up.
Yeah.
32 now, and I think I'm starting to come into that revelation that life is much more than just, I guess, material, monetary gain.
Yeah.
And it's in like the simple moments of spending time with your family, or, going out for a walk, or just kind of enjoying life, I found that really hard because I consider myself to be like an overachiever. Yeah. Like I really...
Relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my dad, I grew up in a home where my dad worked all the time. And obviously there are pros and cons to that. He was able to provide for us in such a wonderful way. And then on the other end, it was like we didn't get enough time with him. And, I think it's one of those things that I learned from where I'm not bitter about it. I'm not resentful about it, but I'm like, okay, is there a balance? Can we have a balance where, we call it work-life balance?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? Because it's good to be like ambitious and to have that godly ambition to provide for your family, to want more. And at the same time to settle down and sit and just, you could say, smell the flowers, right? What does that look like?
Yeah, and even in what we do at KCN, where we're teaching small Christian small business owners, like what does it mean to be a business owner in light of the gospel? It's we don't even use the terminology work-life balance. We talk about work-life integration.
Very
right?
good.
Because God has called us, even when He created the Garden of Eden, it was like to be able to name the animals, to be able to grow the fruits and the flowers, right? And so it's all of these things are holy, right? And so there are going to be seasons where work, right, what the thing that pays your salary is going to be a little more intensive. Right. There are going to be seasons when if you've got a newborn kid and it's sucking up 18, 20 hours of your day and you wake up fuzzy brained, you're not going to be able to do your quote unquote job in the same level. but God cares about all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so in kind of that classic example of what we talked about. So there was a book that came out recently where it talked about the example, the analogy was of Russian dolls. Right. And so what I just mentioned was that its very core, who you are, is going to be the beloved. Right. It's at the end of the day, if you do nothing, you are still beloved. Right outside of that is the co-creator, where God has called you to be able to co-create with him, whether that's, shepherding children, whether that's bringing confusion to chaos, and that could look like organizing a Dropbox folder. Right? Outside of that is to be able to go out and to be able to make disciples, and then the less, or the very exterior is going to be the externalities, the what you do. Right? And so people oftentimes get those confused, and to go back to your earlier question of vocation and calling, people think that my vocation, that externality, what I do, is who I am as an individual. Right? And so the example, right? If you're missing who you are as a beloved, you're just a hollow Russian doll, right? And so you just kind of rattle yourself around, and that eventually breaks down.
Wow, that's good.
Right? And so to be able to think about work-faith integration, it's all of those things. Right? Calling is, in my mind, the internal. Right. It's the call to be a beloved son and daughter of Christ. And because of that, we go out and work. We go out and make disciples. We go out and create. We manage spreadsheets or accounting, or put food on the table, like literally cook and put food on the table. But that comes out of who we are as beloved sons and daughters, right? And then the vocation is what we do, and how we express that. And so they're not different. They're also not the same, but they oftentimes run parallel with each other.
Integrated.
They're integrated.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Well,
you have something about that? I have a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
But go for it.
No, that was beautifully said, because that's one of the big. I feel like the biggest thing that I've noticed that people kind of struggle with is balance. Right. Balance and management.
Yes.
Right.
Time management.
Or in the sense of like, who said it the best? I think it was Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe. He was a doctor, but also he was a PhD and a pastor from the Bahamas. He said, whatever you mismanage, you lose. Right? And so, in a sense, just hearing you that, I feel like there's so many times where in me as Espoir, a Christian, right, somebody who's supposed to trying to do my best to walk this life the way that Christ wants me to do it. There's sometimes where, like, if I don't understand, or I guess tap into who exactly, if I don't consult the Holy Spirit to teach me who I am,
Who you are.
I'm always going to be leaning towards this side. But because of I'm also still a human as well, right? I'm still always going to want to be on the other side. Right. But it's like, I think finding and knowing either what's prohibiting you or what's prohibiting me from entering that side, just hearing you talk. And so that was beautifully said, of like how, to me, I always seen them as like two completely
separate
things, like two separate rooms. Like this is one room, and then I got to open and go into the other room. Right. Never really know that they could, they sometimes integrate. And because I don't know which one's which, I'm always just like, there's two completely identical room in my mind. And so, but that was beautifully said.
This idea of integration, who you are, what you do. And as Espoir said, sometimes it does feel like it's two separate rooms. And it's so hard for people to integrate who they are with what they do. And I don't know, some practical tools on how exactly you do that. Because I could speak for myself, and I'll speak for a lot of next gen people who are maybe younger than me or a similar age to me. We could get so consumed in what we do and not really get clarity about who we are. And I find that there's always like this tension between the two. And so for you, give us practical tools on like how do we do that? How do we integrate who we are with what we do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's good. I think it's constantly reevaluating through the lens of what does Scripture tell us, who we are, right? it is easy as an achiever to be able to wake up and just go, go, go.
Right.
Just like dive straight into the day without realizing, like, why am I actually doing this?
Right.
And so being able to take pause at the beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, even reevaluating things at the end of the day is probably one of the most important things you can do, just to make sure that if you're running, making sure you're running in the right direction.
Right.
And so, yeah, for me, I do my best, right? I'm not perfect at this, but to be able to spend time in prayer,
Right.
meditation in the morning. It's
that's
hard to
good.
be able to find quiet time during the day because,
Right.
we're running a startup nonprofit organization, so there's
Right.
always fires, but
Yeah.
even being able to take a walk, to be able to spend time in nature, to be able to quiet thoughts,
Yeah.
spend time with the Lord. And then, I've been journaling for, 5-6
Very
years,
good.
and it's been almost every single day.
Wow.
And I just have
Very
a journal entry of what did I do today? What are the things
Right.
that I'm learning? And I can look back at that, and occasionally I'll go back and be like, I can track, if today's October 15th, that I can go back from October 15th, 24, 23, 22,
Right.
21, be able
Right.
to see, okay, what was God teaching me during that time? And to be able to see how I'm moving and what is
Yeah.
he doing in my life now? Because I think we get so caught up in the myopic of today,
Right.
without realizing, like, no, God's interweaving a story, not just in your life, but in a grand picture
Yeah.
of things. And so that helps remind, like, we're just a tiny blip in eternity.
Yeah, that's right. I hear intentionality there.
Yeah.
That's all I hear is like how intentional you are about actually creating space in your today for really trying to get an understanding of who you are and walk in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's super helpful because you're right. I think we are just sometimes go 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 go, and then there are the opposite side of that, which is laziness,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe let's go into that
Yeah.
because I know that the people that will probably be listening to this and watching this will mostly be anywhere the age of 17 to 29, which
Okay.
is what this podcast it's literally made for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the whole reason why we created it.
Cool.
And I know when I was 17, I wasn't as, I guess passionate or like so focused on vocation and
Yeah.
now this understanding of like integrating who we are with what we do. But I definitely struggle with laziness.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's something that you could speak into about how to maybe overcome
Yeah.
laziness and get into your vocation and your calling and kind of set the trajectory towards that path.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's funny. What we describe as laziness, I think people would define as like you're not doing anything. When in fact, someone who's being lazy, they're probably doing something, but just not the thing that
Not the
God has
thing.
called them to
Wow,
do.
that's good.
Right. And so, I think we're probably, if we're looking at Gen Z,
Right.
Right. It's social media culture.
Yes.
Right. So I have a hard time believing that they're just sitting there on the couch not doing anything.
Right.
They're probably maybe doom scrolling. They're doing something and they're consuming a lot of the things. And that's not all that different than doing quote unquote everything and
Right.
pursuing the wrong thing and having the wrong foundation. It's just the wrong foundation.
Right.
Whether your foundation's built on consumption and just trying to numb any sort of feeling through social media, or it's pursuing checklist after checklist and just getting things done without really thinking about why you're doing them. I don't think that they're all that different. To answer your question, I think what comes to mind is the parable of the talents. Right? It's God doesn't really care as much as how much you're doing, but really are you doing something? Right, and what he's called you to, whether it's 2, 5, or 10 talents
Right.
that he's gifted you with,
Right.
right? And so some of us have been afforded different talents than others, right? But are we doing something, right? And so I think that that's so much of what faithfulness looks like is, a lot of why people consume social media is because it's a numbing mechanism from the things that have perhaps dissatisfied them, and so they don't want to be disappointed, and so part of that is, okay, there's an alternative. God has an alternative for you for disappointment. Why wouldn't you go out and see what he has in plan for you? Right. And so that's how I think about it. I tend to lean on the doer side of things, right? So I constantly have to question my motives more than just like getting up and off the couch. But I think to really be able to flourish in the manner that God has called you to, I think you have to really focus on what does he lay before you? What are the little opportunities, right? And so it's, what can you be proactive about? It's as little as making your bed in the morning. It's as little as eating a meal, cooking a meal that's healthy for you. It's as little as moving your body. And you realize those little things begin to stack up. And as you look at that, God will open up newer opportunities.
Very good. That's very good.
Wow. No.
I don't want to take up all the questions.
No. Yeah, I can just listen to you, both of you speak. It's beautiful stuff. No, like I really do also agree on the pausing, or as I call it, taking a breath, breathing again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the sense of like we forget to breathe sometime.
Yes.
We have to change the structure of how we're breathing, and just due to either what the cycles that we've chosen to in a sense, like, or the algorithms that we have written, or that societies or whatever that social media has, that we've accepted and we've imprinted in us. And so you just find yourself, instead of like getting up, the easiest thing that's harder for a lot of people is exercising, just getting up and doing something active, something that's that is good for you. It's good for your body, for your health. And so in the sense of like, there's certain algorithms that we are running in life that are causing in a sense of that. But whenever you take that pause in the morning, like you said, right, it shifts in your mind, right? There's something that it slows down your thoughts, right? And so it kind of gives your mind some words for it to process, right? And then you can be like, oh, whoa, okay, let me snap out of this. You kind of get back into it. And then I like how you say morning, middle, and, kind of end. Because it's just like, there are some time where we go, and like, if we don't kind of take a step back. And so that was beautifully said. And because it's for sure, to me, whenever we both were talking about that, word algorithm came in my mind, is like, maybe there are some algorithms that we are running that we don't know.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to remember, I remember Pastor saying, you don't drift upstream, right? If you just let life happen to you, we live in a broken world, right? And the broken world's going to break you unless you're deliberate about taking time to be reminded of who I am, how am I grounded to be able to do the work so that you can go upstream, right? And the Gospels talk about it as like the gate is narrow, right? Because of that. We live in a day and age, and that will continue to be so, more noisy than ever. So being able to be someone who can take pause, who can be slow and deliberate, who understands why we do what we do, it's really going to stand out more and more in the age that is to come.
That's very good. Wow. That's I kind of want to shift the conversation to, so we get this idea of, I think we come to clarity to understand vocation not as just something that we do, but something of who we are.
Yeah.
And having to integrate who we are with what God has called us to do. I think that's clear. I'm going into the mind of that one 17-year-old Samuel Teka, or maybe 22, 23, where I was so confused about what am I called to do?
Yeah.
Like, in terms of like a job or like a passion.
Yeah.
And if we're real, a passion that could provide money. And provide for me, but also use the money to be generous and, just all the things kingdom, right?
Yeah.
And for some, maybe that might not be the case. Some maybe don't want to be like wealthy in the sense of like having a lot of money. Some people are just content with what they have. But what I really want to like pinpoint here is asking you the question of like, how does one find their passion?
Yeah.
Like what they're called to do.
Yeah.
Is there a sequence? Like, is it finding out who you are first and then you find what you do, or what does that
Yeah,
look
well,
like?
I think they go hand in hand.
Okay.
Right. And so to the person who's not doing anything, I think one of the greatest things that you're missing out on is finding out what your passion really is. Right. Because I would say most people who, let's say they go the traditional path, they've graduated college, they have no idea what to do with their life. My first internship with a large corporation, the CFO of, it's a Fortune 500, one of the largest CPG companies in the world. He was the CFO there. His degree was in psychology.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And so, and the more people you talk to, a lot of them, their degrees have nothing to do with what they're doing now. Right. And so to be able to have the added pressure of you've got to decide what your life trajectory is for an 18, 22-year-old is crazy. It's absurd. But I think what God does is, again, if you're following the next breadcrumb, he will steer you in the right direction.
That's good. That's
right.
good.
And so I didn't think that, I thought I would be in finance, maybe. I didn't even know I was going to be in venture capital. I had no idea what venture capital was when I started, but I was just like, I'm going to try this and I'm going to try and learn and grow through it. I ended up in the world of publishing, and at the time I thought books were stupid.
Right.
So that's the naivete on my part, right? And so God's used that to be able to open doors, and then through the opportunity with Forbes to be able to work with CEOs that have built just incredible businesses and seeing how they've cared for their employees, the customers that they serve, the communities that they're a part of. And that has sparked a lot of what we do at KCN is viewing business owners as a salt and light in their communities. And so I would have had none of that if I thought that, I'm just going to be a finance guy from the University of Texas, and I'm going to go work at a Big Four accounting agency or do consulting, right? But I think you've got to be able to start somewhere. You've got to be able to take the first step, and God will steer you in the direction. And, what I tell younger individuals now, which I still firmly believe, if you don't know what you want to do, at least know what you don't want to do. Right. And the only way to be able to do that is to be able to actually take the step, take the risk.
That's so good.
Learn
really
from it,
good,
see how that shapes and forms you, what feels right, and what God has called you to be, and then to be able to shift paths depending on that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think the reason why people maybe don't want to step out to maybe the thing that is obscure is because of like a fear of failure or some fear?
Yeah, I'm sure.
For sure.
I'm sure the basis of a lot of decisions or reasons why people don't pursue something is out of fear.
Right.
Some sort of fear.
Yeah. Because that I come across that often. Is like, okay, I may not be clear about what my passion is exactly.
Sure.
But even to take the next step, for me, I'm terrified because what if it's the wrong thing?
Yeah.
What if I'm going to waste my time? What if I'm, there's all different types of people that say different things, but this is something that I run into often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's head trash.
Right.
Right. It's what the devil uses to be able to keep us in a place of solitude.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Fear, when you boil it down, is what are you afraid of?
Right.
Right. It's fear of failure. Let's be real. We live in America. We're already the 0.1% of individuals in the world. We have access to basic necessities. We're in a room with electricity and AC. We have food on our tables. Even if I lost my job and I've got a wife and child, I still have family that I know and friends that I can reach out to and sleep on the couch. So why would I not take that risk? And most importantly, it's, God has secured who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
God cares for the fishies and the birds of the air and the flowers in the field.
Yes.
And so the Bible even teaches us, like, he will provide for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what I'm currently learning, but still having my heart to believe.
Yes.
The key thing for me was risk that I heard there, because hearing, both of you guys talk again, like I kind of replayed in a sense of like a mini summary of the things I was scared to do.
Right.
The things that I was scared to actually, and what was prohibiting me from doing so.
Yeah.
Right. And then what was that thing that like gave me the jump to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And in a way, it's almost like I hate anything that has to do with like height.
Yeah.
So like sky,
Yeah.
no, I don't do that.
Sure.
Bungee jump, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, and then I have a really good friend of mine, named Amado. He is an adrenaline. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Like he would jump off of a plane, do the whole thing, right? Just without even a thought, like to him. But the thing that makes a person hesitate versus that makes just another person just runs and just, you know, I guess sometimes you can call it faith,
Yeah.
right? Or sometimes I guess that's what would be another word, I guess, would.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
no,
would
no,
that be for
no.
it?
So I hear the word faith,
Right.
And really I would change the vernacular to faith.
Yeah.
It's opportunities to be able to see God show up,
Right.
right, and it talks about live by faith and not by
Right.
sight, right?
Right.
And so as Christians, if the bottom line, if death is the greatest thing that we fear and death is off the table
Right.
because of what Jesus has already done,
Yep.
then we really don't have that much to be
Right.
scared of.
That's good. That's really good. That's good.
From knowing, having the privilege to having to go, we got breakfast, I think, or we got coffee.
Yeah.
And just knowing what you guys do at KCN, and so I think it's one of the things that every individual who is a Christian, and let's say, because the thing you guys paired of this whole world of business and Christianity, because in a sense, like when growing up, I've always associated with Jesus with poor people.
Right. Sorry, we are getting somewhere.
Okay.
I'm just loving this right now. Continue. I want to go down this.
You know, because like but maybe it might be because me just being from Africa, and every single time we always ask, God, I need, God, I need, God, I need, God, I need. So because of being the beggar so much, that you it's hard for until you come at a place like this where you see somebody like you, right, that shifts something in a refugee like me, that opens up a completely different door of now dreaming actually what I'm actually capable of doing, because of there was nobody ever there that I could see. If they were rich, they were not Christians.
And
If they were rich, they were not Christian. If they were Christians, they weren't.
Right.
They were always in the same either refugee camp or same place. And so, but I think the beauty part about I guess what I've learned coming to the U.S. is meeting different individuals who say, "Hey, no. God is the giver. He is the one who gives everything. And if we are his kids, right, and he built the Eden for us, right, the garden for us, and so in the sense of like just hearing you talk, that's a very important key of like reshifting our mindset of, oh, if I have money, then I guess my faith doesn't, I don't need faith.
Right.
I don't need Christ as much. But I really love what you guys do is like, no, you guys are teaching small business owners, hey, this is how to run a business, in the kingdom of God.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how to do it. And that's so beautiful, because that's literally like, that should be the new, the new message in the young, in the I guess my generation, because again, like you saw, how whenever you said like whenever you were younger, 25, and you wanted to make all this money and you got there, a lot of people are still trying to get there.
Yes.
But now getting to the beauty part about meeting somebody is not, now I don't have to like that wall, this thing that I want. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, no, I need. Now I'm taking my breath, like you were saying. Now I'm taking that pause of like, okay, there's a bigger picture here. There's a right way to do it, and positioning yourself or going out there and finding the right people who can put you into those places. So, but
Go for it. If
Yeah,
you
no,
want to
I mean, to your point, Espoir, it's not easy,
For sure.
right? It's the Bible even talks about the rich young ruler, right? Where it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to give up what they've quote unquote accumulated for the kingdom of God, right? And so, it is not a natural disposition for someone who is materially wealthy to be able to give that up for the kingdom. But again, when we've been bought by the blood of Christ and we've been given everything. It's like we've been promised something on the other side that we should sell everything for the side of heaven. And so being able to see on this side, there are countless of individuals, and you see them every day in the news, right, of someone being spotlighted for a successful business owner has ruined their business because of fraud or, adultery or whatever it might be. But there are also a lot of individuals who are heads down, silently working for the Lord that have built decent, sizable businesses that, again, are a reflection of Christ in here on earth.
I've always heard it said that there's two sides to the spectrum. There is poverty gospel, and then there's prosperity gospel. And not a lot of people talk about the middle, which is the provision gospel. That God provides. That if we are good stewards of what God has given us, and we take care of what God has given us, the scripture is pretty clear to say that God will provide for us. Now, how much he provides, I don't know, but he'll provide. And he meets our needs. Now, the reason why I got so excited while I went down that lane is because in the Ethiopian space, this is something that I think we struggle with. This idea of money, being rich, wealth, ambition, is in a lot of ways, if I could say it like this, kind of frowned upon. I don't know what it's like, and maybe you could speak about culture you grew up in. But I know for Africans, this is a thing. This is a thing where it's kind of seen as like a really evil thing. And I think growing up in that, you think that being ambitious, and obviously there's a distinction, selfish ambition, godly ambition, but just being ambitious is like an evil thing. Creating wealth, building wealth is an evil thing because it is associated. Jesus is associated with, and this is the mentality of being poor. And therefore, if we are Christian, we follow him, we should be poor as well. And can you please speak into that? Because I want to know what your thoughts are when it comes to this idea. And maybe some wisdom that you have to say.
I remember reading one time that money's just a magnifying glass. Money is an inanimate object that has some sort of currency attached to it. But for the most part, if the U.S. dollar, if we went to a foreign country where they have a different currency, like the actual cash is just paper. Right, but what money does is highlight more. It's a magnifying glass on who you are, right. And so I keep going back to the parable of the talents because it talks about that, right? It's like it doesn't matter if you had 2 talents or 5 or 10. It was what did you do with them? Right. And I think God gives every single individual a different amount of talents, and they're called to steward that in His name. And so, what does stewardship actually look like?
So why do you think? Right, like I love that parable. What do you think? Like, God give you 10, God give you 5, giving me 2. Why do you think I want a 10 and a 5, and not accept? Why is it so hard for me to understand that this is what God trusts me with now? Right, or either why can't I say? I don't know if you're trying to see my question, but just like why do I want this more when I haven't even? Why do you think we do that?
Grass is always greener. Right. I think as broken people, we always want what we don't have, rather than being satisfied and fulfilled in who God is and what He's provided us. And so, it's if I'm the 5 and I'm looking at the 10, and I was like, why can't I double mine? And He's got more. But what people oftentimes fail to realize is like, Notorious B.I.G. More money, more problems.
Right. Yeah.
You really don't understand.
Right.
I've got friends who are literally millionaires and are younger than I am, right? And so, but then I also look. They've got internet trolls that are actually like trying to blaspheme their name online, right?
Yeah.
And so people just don't think about what comes with it. And again, in the scriptures, it even talks about it is harder for a materially rich person to enter the kingdom of God because they've got more temptations coming at them. Right? Would you give that up if you had the two talents, knowing that, you know, I've got exactly what I need. I've got my family. I'm able to provide. We're not living lavishly by any means, but I know that our family is secure and that I'm bought by the blood of Christ. Would you give that up for a few more zeros in your bank account?
But also, even what came in mind was the what we're talking about for laziness. I feel like the whole misconception of like saying that, oh, if I have more, you know, like I don't, if I have this less, I'm gonna have to work a whole lot. But if I get more, I don't have to work a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it's the whole thing of also just like, you know, but I think the key thing for me that I kind of got was seeing what the talent that God has given me, right? What have I done with it? Yeah. Exactly. You know, what have I done with it? And, you know, how did I manage it? And maybe he's waiting for me to double this and be like, hey, ta-da, you see how this works, right? It's like it's I don't just give you, but like we work together and you learn in the process. So that way you can be able to do that. And the other biggest thing that I love is from your journey, right? From finance or venture capital, right, to what you're doing now, right? And you said something of like you've been through all these spaces, whether that's with Forbes, with books, with, you know, and now you helping other people. That is a very key point. Yeah. Why? Like, where did that come from? Like, why did you could have easily, you know, just continue to make, you know, and continue to go up and up and up and up, but you decided, okay, I'm gonna teach somebody else the skills that can initially help them. Like, where did that come from?
Lord's calling.
Okay.
Right. I think he's very much just opened up doors and shut down others. That this is where he has me. Right. And I still wrestle with that on quite a routine basis because I don't know if this is the life that I had drawn up for myself. But this is what faithfulness looks like for me and my family. And so I don't know what he has in store. But again, I'm following the next breadcrumb.
Yeah, that's good.
That's really good.
Last question.
Yeah.
What's your advice for the next generation when it comes to vocation and calling?
Yeah.
And it could be something you alluded to earlier, maybe something that comes to your mind right now. But as we just like wrap up here, what is that one piece of advice? If you could, if I may ask, how old are you?
35.
35.
I turned 35 last month.
I hope that wasn't an offensive question at all. Okay. What would you tell your 22, maybe even younger than that, 17-year-old self? If you were to go back, what piece of advice would you give to him?
Yeah, I think it's to go out and to follow the next breadcrumb, right? To be able to, if you're stuck on the couch, just take that next act of faithfulness. That's making the bed, that's going to the gym, that's finding an internship to learn skills, right? Perhaps someone's further along in their career and they might be older, 30 plus, like me. It's never too late to be able to start something new. And again, I believe in a big God who lives in eternity. Yes. Right. And so, and also even just time here on earth, my grandparents are 95 plus years old and still alive. Wow. So even though I'm 35, I'm like 1/3 of my lifespan, right? If I were to start over tomorrow, I still have plenty of time. And so we serve a God that's abundant, that's generous, that, you know, cares about us. Right. And so even the parable of the talents, whether you start off with 2, 5, or 10, over a long enough time span, if you're just faithful, 2 talents, and every year you just double that. Do you know how big, how many talents that is in just 10 years, let alone 50 or 90?
That's good.
Right. And so I think it's one of those things. It's not a zero-sum game. Right. And so the earlier that we can start, take that act of faithfulness or risk, whatever we want to call it, I think God will reward that.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much, Wes, for your time.
Yeah, of course. Great to be with you.
No, seriously, it's, you know, we know you're a busy guy, but, you know, you spending time with us just to give wisdom to the next generation, I think is really important.
Yeah, it's a
we need
blessing.
more people like you.
100%.
We really do. We
1000%,
really do,
yeah.
to just be the model and example.
Yeah.
So
No, I think we need people who will be themselves and what God has called them to be.
That's awesome.
How much better the world would be because of it.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Of
you
course,
so
man. I
much.
appreciate you, man.